kind of annoying because I guess a taller foot than I have felt like I was wearing nothing. This is my review of the New Balance FuelCell Rebel V4. Starting with the outsole of the New Balance Rebel V4, we have an interesting outsole traction pattern. It kind of reminds me of a basketball shoe a little bit. And to talk a little bit about the performance of the outsole, the traction was very good. I am based in California, so I was not able to test the shoe really in wet conditions, but I did test them a lot on the road as well as a little bit of trail in dry conditions. So how did they perform? They performed fantastic on road paved surfaces. The outsole rubber is a little bit softer, and combined with that outsole pattern, it gave really good traction on the ground. Hence, that's why it reminds me a little bit of a basketball shoe outsole. It does have very nice grip on asphalt. As for the traction pattern on trail running, I did take these out to a small trail near me, and honestly, it didn't perform very well, but I don't think the shoe was meant for trail running. So if you're looking at this shoe for a shoe that can do both road running and trail running, this probably isn't the best option. But like I said, on the road, with dry weather, these performed excellent. As for durability of the outsole, I would say that it's probably around average to maybe a little bit below average. And the reason why I say that is because, like I said, the rubber outsole on this shoe is a little bit on the softer end, and as you can see with the B-roll, the thickness of the outsole is also a little bit thin, and you can see that my pair is fraying just a tad. It's mostly aesthetic, it's not going to affect the performance too much. Those little signs of wear and tear from around 26 miles in this shoe kind of show me that this shoe may not last as long as other daily training options. The New Balance Rebel V4 did very well in dry conditions as well as on the road. As for in the trails, maybe not so much. Wet conditions, I did not test the shoe. And as for durability, I would say it's around average to maybe a little bit below average, just due to the thinner, softer rubber outsole. Moving on to the cushioning and midsole of the New Balance Rebel V4, we have a full-length FuelCell midsole, 30 millimeters in the heel, dropping to 24 millimeters in the forefoot, giving it a 6 millimeter heel to toe drop, which is my sweet spot and my favorite heel to toe drop. I have heard that the FuelCell in the Rebel V4 is different than the PIBA that is found in, their racing shoes, but I haven't really tested any New Balance FuelCell shoes before, so this is actually my first one. I've heard that this is a PIBA blend, and it's not completely the same as their racing foam, which kind of annoying because why would they call it FuelCell if it's not FuelCell, right? So I don't know, but I'm just gonna evaluate the shoe based on my experience. So with 26 miles in the shoe, I did a little bit of everything. I did my short runs, I did a little bit of longer runs, I tried to run faster in the shoe as well as slower in the shoe. The midsole took a little bit of time for me to break in. Not that it was painful at all, but in order to activate the foam, I guess, it took maybe 5 to 10 miles. At first, I didn't really like the feel underfoot, but as I put more and more miles on the shoe, it kind of molded to my foot as well as activated the foam a little bit. How did the cushioning feel? So it is a little bit lower of a stack than most daily trainers nowadays, but I thought that the cushioning after breaking them in felt really good. It was soft, but with that ground feel. So if I could describe the cushioning experience, especially at slower paces, it felt soft on initial impact and then it would firm up after the foam compressed a little bit. So it gave a soft yet responsive feel. I wouldn't say that it provides the most amount of energy return in a midsole, but it's gonna offer ample impact protection as well as still not feeling sluggish while you're running, which is what I think New Balance is marketing this shoe as an up-tempo, non-plated daily training option. Although it's marketed towards more tempo runs due to, it being a very light shoe, I personally enjoyed wearing this shoe for my easy runs. Out of, all the different types of runs, I would say easy runs less than 10 miles, 8 to 10 miles, because I didn't feel that there was enough impact protection for me personally as a bigger runner. I am 200 pounds to take it the distance. Like I said, it felt soft on initial impact, but it firmed up, and I could also feel the ground a little bit more than maybe I'd like, especially on those longer runs. Overall though, I thought that the cushioning was very comfortable, especially after you break in the midsole. Now, moving on to the upper of the New Balance Rebel V4, we have a Phantom Fit, I think engineered mesh upper. Feels kind of like a mesh to me, with a really thin gusseted tongue and a pretty there's some structure in the heel, but overall this upper was just okay for me, and it was probably the downfall of the shoe in my opinion. The reason for that being is the fit. The last of the shoe is true to size, so I got my normal size 12 and it fit me fine. However, when I laced up the shoe for the first time, I did feel that the shoe was a little bit more voluminous from a height perspective, not from a width perspective, because I do have a wider foot and I enjoy that a lot of New Balance shoes are a little bit on the wider side. So the width and the length of the sizing was perfectly fine with this shoe, but I think that there was a little bit too much volume in the toe box where I felt that when I was making those tight turns or I was running a little bit faster, I did feel my forefoot move in the shoe, which is not a feeling that I personally enjoy. Even with the lacing system too, I tried to tie these shoes a little bit tighter to get rid of that problem, but even tying the shoes tighter, it didn't really help too much with the midfoot and forefoot lockdown for me. I just felt that there was a little bit too much volume in the toe box and maybe the midfoot as well. That also brings me to my next point of the lacing system and the tongue. I thought that the tongue was totally fine. It was a little bit short. The top laces got a little bit too close to the top of the tongue for my liking. And you know, when the laces are touching skin, it can cause all sorts of problems, but I'm not gonna knock it. You know, at least the tongue was still covering these top laces, but I did have to do the runner's loop for the New Balance Rebel V4, as when I didn't, the heel lockdown was not really doing it for me if I did not have the runner's loop. And that brings me to my next kind of mini complaint of the laces not being long enough. Even when I tightened up the forefoot, midfoot, and the heel, there was not enough lace for me to double knot my shoes, which I typically like to do, especially while I'm running. I don't want my laces to become undone. I probably could squeeze in a double knot, but you know, it's one of those things where I wish that they gave a little bit longer shoelaces. It's a pretty simple fix, and it's something that if you really want the shoe, you can just swap out the laces if that's a problem for you. I do want to touch upon the positives of this upper. This upper is probably the lightest upper, the most breathable upper that I have experienced in a daily trainer in a while. It honestly felt like I was wearing nothing, which I think some people will really love because it's so lightweight and it feels like you're wearing nothing on your foot. However, for me, I think I want that little bit snugger fit, especially around the midfoot and the toe box. But it was very nice having an upper that I felt wasn't even there. So overall, the New Balance Rebel V4 is a great shoe, I would say. The only real gripe I have with the shoe is that fit. I think that if the right person finds this shoe with their foot shape and whatnot and can get good lockdown in this shoe, it's gonna be an excellent option, especially for people who prefer lighter shoes. I typically don't even notice the weights of shoes, but this one felt extremely light. It felt like an extension of my foot, and I wish that the fit was just a little bit better for my personal foot, and I think I would have enjoyed the shoe a lot more because my foot wouldn't have been moving around while I was running. So priced at $140, is the New Balance Rebel V4 worth it? I would say try these on in your local shoe store. I think that wide footers are gonna really love this shoe, and also wide footers with, I guess, a taller foot than I have will really love this shoe because, like I said, it's extremely light. This upper is one of the lightest and most breathable uppers I've ever worn, and paired with that pretty nice cushion setup, especially if you like lower to the ground feels, you know, with all these max stack height daily trainers out here. I think it's nice that New Balance made a little bit of a lower stack, and I think it's pretty versatile. So if you like that light, lower stack daily trainer feel, I think that this shoe, if it fits your foot correctly, is gonna be an excellent choice. So for me personally, I didn't enjoy running in the Rebel V4 just due to it not fitting my foot the way that I'd like it to, and I don't think it was a sizing issue as well. I think if I went half a size down, it wouldn't be long enough for me, and if I, you know, went up half a size, that wouldn't help because my issue was I had too much room in the shoe. So overall, I would recommend the shoe if you can try it on and it fits your foot properly. I think that New Balance made a great shoe, but it just wasn't for me. That's gonna pretty much wrap up my review today for the New Balance Rebel V4. It's a great shoe, just not for me, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Make sure you like and subscribe because I have a lot more running shoe content as well as just running shoes and maybe some food videos coming in the future. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys in the next one.